Ho, ho, ho. Hey everyone, welcome to We Weren't Friends in High School, the podcast where I reunite with high school classmates from my graduating class of Wissahickon High School in the suburbs of Philadelphia. I'm Brad Corbett, class of 2001. It is Christmas morning, so if you celebrate, which I know a lot of people do, I hope that you're having a great Christmas day. For myself, I'll be traveling down to Ambler to hang out with my mom and the Campion family. So that'll be a good time, as it always is. So the holidays are, plentiful, and I hope they are for you as well, and safe, of course. Let's get to part two. We're in the middle of this incredible conversation with Ryan Dunn. And so let's get right back into it. Of course, we weren't friends in high school on the Instagram, WWFINHS, on Twitter. Subscribe, comment, rate, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play. Go do all that stuff. And of course, I am at REDSHIRTPLAYA. All right, here we go. Ryan Dunn, part two.
I'm loving the VHS collection here.
Oh God, yeah. You know what's funny? So it's all wrestling tapes.
Yeah.
And then on this side, when I worked there. So when I worked there, then I just started getting them all for free. And now I just have like too many.
Wow.
I just have like every show you get a DVD for every single show,
right.
Every DVD they put out.
Oh wow.
They would just put one in your mailbox.
So you worked for WWE?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Like 10 years ago.
Was that in Philly? Or like around here? Or was that when you were in Connecticut?
In Connecticut, yeah.
Wow.
I lived in Stamford.
Yeah.
And I traveled all around the country, like putting on the shows. Like I used to do Raw and SmackDown. And I wrote for SmackDown. I was on the creative team for SmackDown. So I used to write the shows every week.
By right, you mean let it play out naturally as a real fight?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's real, right? Yeah. Exactly. So, yeah.
I didn't write the punch kick. I wrote the
the drama or whatever.
Yeah, this guy comes to the ring and he's going to say this, and then this guy's going to respond, and then this guy comes out and says, hold on, I think we need to have a match. And and all because, we've already planned that this is going to be the match at the pay-per-view in 3 weeks. And so we're building to that, and
we're like,
those type of things.
Wow. That's so cool, dude.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It was like I like to say I peaked at 24.
Right. Yeah.
I was like right out of college. And it's crazy, as Christian Warren, when he was here, he looks in there and he actually says, like, one day you're going to work for WWE.
Wow.
Because I was always the wrestling guy.
Yeah.
And then, I did it for a little bit change.
Yeah. So what made you stop doing it?
I got fired.
You got fired.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I pissed off my boss one day. It was a grinding, it was more so like self-inflicted. It was a grinding, grueling schedule.
Yeah.
It was essentially like continuation of college, but with an expense account.
Wow.
And so you just, you travel around the country, you go to a different city every single day. I was traveling like 4 days a week.
Yeah.
And then you fly back to New York on a Wednesday. You go back to Stamford, Connecticut. You write Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
Saturday or Sunday, you're flying back out to the next town. You get to the city. Monday, you do Raw.
Okay.
You drive after Raw at 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. You drive to the next city. You get to that. And I'm talking like could be from Orlando to Miami. You're driving in the middle of the night, 4 hours, or from San Antonio.
Were you by
Dallas.
yourself, or were you with other people?
Usually with one or two other writers.
Yeah.
Very rarely ever by yourself.
Okay.
Are you driving from like San Antonio to Dallas?
It doesn't sound like a sustainable long-term.
It's hard,
but
and it's a little bit different now. I think they have like buses that the writers get on, but yeah. And we check into the hotel, and then you on Monday night, Tuesday morning, and then Tuesday morning, like 10, 11 a.m., you're back in the arena. You're doing SmackDown,
right?
And then you go back to the hotel. You have drinks until your flight the next morning, and then you hop in a car and you fly back.
I feel like you were in a really good time period though, because I'm trying to think back when I was in my early 20s. Who was big? I mean, like The Rock was huge when we were in college, I think.
So I never met The Rock.
What, like Stone Cold and something like that?
I only met Stone Cold once. No, when I was there, it was.
Who was there?
I refer to it sometimes as the worst era in wrestling.
Oh no, because it was because those guys had just like
Rock and
run.
Stone Cold were gone.
Okay,
Hogan wasn't there.
Yeah.
So we had like The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Edge.
Kane or whatever.
Kane. Edge.
Yeah.
John Cena. Of course,
yeah,
John Cena. John Cena was like the man when I was there. It was like the kind of the height of his run. Who else was like in there?
Oh, what was his name? Like
CM
the Big
Punk.
Show or something.
Yeah, Big Show was there.
Yeah.
Jericho, Chris Jericho was
Jericho.
there. CM Punk was just like really becoming a guy.
Okay.
Yeah, that was like about it for like the really big. I'm looking at like the different DVD covers to see if Batista was.
Oh yeah.
Batista was huge. Then Triple H was really on. Triple H was on like he was on kind of the tail end of his run. Ric Flair was there. Ric Flair was with like all those guys. Shawn Michaels was there, kind of like nearing the end of his run. All these guys, a lot of those guys were kind of in like the last year or two of their real active.
Did you meet like Vince McMahon at any point?
Every week.
Whoa,
yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I had meetings.
Is he a normal guy when it's not like on camera? Or is he totally nuts?
He's normal. He's exactly. He's almost exactly like you would expect him to be.
Okay.
He's just not. He's not blatantly, outwardly, publicly mean.
Right.
It's not to say that he's not mean at times, or he doesn't say things or do things in public that you just go, oh god, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
But rarely was it like, oh, we're gonna fuck this guy. It wasn't that. But he was definitely Vince, and I can remember one time a guy wasn't happy with his position backstage, and we weren't doing much with him. And he had told the head of talent relations that he was thinking about quitting because he was just so unhappy with how he thought that we had all dropped the ball on him.
Yeah.
And Vince was like, well, goddamn, maybe he needs to go home then. Let's just fire him.
Wow.
And you're just thinking like, oh god, dude, that's like such a but it's just just straight shooter in that way. And he's very this is how I feel right now. And so that's what we're going to do. That was the toughest part with Vince, is that, you could, and this is kind of, I think, famous to a lot of people, I think, like on the internet that follow wrestling, but like, you could present something to him and he hates it. And then you could present him the same thing an hour and a half later. And all the change was that he had lunch.
Yeah.
And he just,
now he loves
he's
it.
in a better mood. Yeah. And it's the best thing he's ever seen. And who wrote this? And this is so good. And, I got it probably, not as bad as a lot of my coworkers and friends. And I have a great handful of friends that are still there doing it. It takes a very special type of person to be able to stick it out. And I was not.
Wow.
I got fired because my last trip I was on, we had a very quick turnaround as far as like having to send in new ideas. And I just didn't send in my ideas by that time. And instead I was just in the office working on it, and my boss called me out on it. Mm-hmm. And I gave him a smartass answer. Instead, I told him I didn't have time to send in ideas, and instead I came to the office early, and I'm just been working on stuff here on the board. And then he asked me, he goes, I won't do the voice because I don't want to embarrass myself in front of somebody. But he goes, so you didn't think maybe to send me an email to tell me you weren't going to send ideas? And in my head, I went, like sometimes you ever think of something and you go, oh, that's so good. And you go, don't say that.
Yeah.
That went through my brain, and then my brain went, no, fuck it. That's so good. Say that shit.
Yeah.
And so I went, no, I didn't think to send you an email to tell you that I don't have time to send an email.
Right. Yeah.
And dude, he just went, okay.
Yeah.
And he just got right up. He went downstairs. 20 minutes later, I'm like, yo, anyone else's email not working? My phone rings.
Right.
It's HR. Hey, and this dude is downstairs.
Yeah.
Like fired, like ready to fire me.
Wow.
And that was it.
That was quick.
It was quick. Yeah.
I have my people at work that are my like email filters because I deal a lot with this. We'll say I work essentially for a vendor of a major insurance company that we almost all probably have their insurance, right? And so, my job is to help them find like mistakes and errors that they're making. And then sometimes you point that out to them and they, I guess they're human too. They don't want to see it as a mistake. And they try to defend whatever. And you end up like having these very frustrating conversations. And then I get right where you were with like, I will type out the first draft and I'll have all the smart ass stuff, like just complete irony and like sarcasm and just like not, and like I don't know, only 30% like the actual facts that are needed for the situation. And then I might self-edit that first one. I'm pretty good. I'll self-edit. I'll get it down to like 50% sarcasm. And then I fire it off to like my people that like I trust. And they're like, okay, well, you're gonna have to take out that whole first paragraph, right? Like, and that's how I've kept my job by having it stripped away all the, sarcasm and emotion and just pure whatever the facts are, I guess.
When I was in strict video production for the last bunch of years, and I was in like a corporate environment, constantly just dealing with, structure and processes and workflow and helping guide people in the right direction. And people would lean on me kind of to give my like expertise from a production standpoint, but they would be like, they might be client relations and things like that, or dealing with like their team of young producers. And I would send them, they would ask me a question and I'm very emotional. And so when I type and I type fast, I type as fast as I think, and I'm just typing all this stuff out because I just got to get it out. And then I would go at the bottom, this is in Brad speak. Do not say it to them exactly like this.
Right.
This is the point.
Yeah.
You say it however you think is the right way to say it, because this ain't
That's
the one.
That's a good disclaimer to have. I guess I do that too. If I know my email won't go to the client, but will go to the person who speaks to the client, I write it just like that. I say, here's how I feel. Do not say it this way, but this is what I'm trying to get across here. They're dumb.
I call it Brad speak.
Right. Brad speak. Yeah. Well, I guess I'm doing Brad speak quite a bit. Yeah, at work. But that's good. So I wanted to ask about this podcast. Like, do you is this just like for fun, which it is fun, or do you see like a kind of a goal or something that you're thinking about?
I don't know. I'm a production guy. And so I only look at things of, I would watch that or I would listen to that more so than this is a great business venture or anything like that. And so for me, I just look at the possibilities of cool productions of, there's people that now know these people because they've been listening to the podcast and they know these characters in a sense, and they're rooting them on, or what I mean, they're in on certain jokes, or they have favorites, or or whatever. The goal is to, I think for me, just to have a fun show with a rotating cast where people can learn.
I don't know anything outside of this bigger picture, but like I really enjoyed listening to at this time there was 2 podcasts out. So and like hearing Eric talk about Hebrew school, I was like, oh man, that's back in the day. And like and then I didn't know all that stuff he went through either. So I did learn a lot about him, what he went through. And you're like, why aren't we friends, man? And I was like feeling the same way, like, shoot, I should still be friends with that kid because like he's awesome. And I was like, wow. And like we're probably into like a lot of the same stuff, whatever. And I see like I think that a lot about some of the people I went to high school with now is like I see their Facebooks or whatever, their Instagram, and I'm like, I think this person who I was not friends with, like we seem to like think the same stuff. We're saying the same crap on Facebook or whatever. And I see that they like also have a dog and a cat like me, or a kid or whatever. And I'm like, I bet we could be friends now.
You don't live that far, right?
We're in the area.
Close and
I think, like it's maybe just circumstance. We just weren't in classes or whatever. But now at this point in life,
And you know what? And this might be more of a guy thing, but guys don't talk.
Right.
In the same way that,
I'm not calling up my guy friends like, how was your day?
Yeah.
That never happens.
Yeah. And so even if we were not adversarial, is that the word?
Yeah.
Even if we weren't adversarial, guys wouldn't ever say, hey, Ryan, you like sports and I like, do you want to hang out and watch some sports?
Right.
That would never, that's just not something that guys do.
No,
they don't.
no.
And you always see like girls are like, oh, I'm gonna make him like my girlfriend has a husband too, and you guys are going to be good friends.
Sure.
And it's always because that's
Yeah.
a lot of times like how guys just don't.
Yeah.
You got to force guys to
You
get
gotta force
together
it.
sometimes.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, for me, when Ray died, I had a real I had a real kind of sinking feeling about the idea that someone that I'd grown up with my whole life, all that history, that remembered history is gone.
Wow.
Someone that you've known since you were 5.
Yeah.
That all those stories growing up, because Ray and I lived down the street from each other too. So
yeah.
I don't know if you remember Mike Mayall from like earlier years, but he didn't come to high school. I think he left after middle school, but like those were like really like my 2 best friends growing up, and Mike had moved. And so then Ray now, like all those memories of growing up in South Ambler, our parents are best friends, you know, pool parties and stuff like that. All those memories essentially now just are with me.
Right.
All those things that you tell a best friend growing up, that's all gone.
Yikes. Yeah.
And so for me, you know, I really, I think craved these old memories, and to have, you know, someone like an Eric or even now you, or, you know, Kim Devaney, who I've known since 4th grade, just a bunch of, you know, Christian Warren, to have all these people now that I've got these memories with from the time I was, you know, 8, 9, 10 years old. And for us to be able to talk, those are things that I have not been able to do, man, in decades. It sounds, you know, it sounds sad, and I used to be really sad about it when I was younger, but after a while, it's just one of those things that you just, it's not a part of your life anymore. And probably part of my real curiosity in wanting to do these, because I don't get to talk about remember those days
with your best friend,
with my best friend. And so I am curious as to where everyone's at, or what everyone's doing, or what people's perspective, hearing someone else's perspective on that time.
Well, you're making me feel very lucky, you know, that I can complain about some class or whatever with like Risha or Goody or whatever. But I was thinking about Ray, because I probably knew Ray even less than I knew you. I only really have I have memories of like, you know, we'd be in the parking lot in high school before class or before school started, and then you have to make the trudge up across the grass or whatever. And he'd usually be hanging out by his car, and like he'd say hi. We always say hi to each other, but I don't think I ever had a single actual conversation with him. But my impression was like of a nice guy who says hi, right? So I've really appreciated any little bit you've talked about him, because I was also so sad when he died, you know, tangentially, like just the brotherhood of like our class, somebody our age dying. I was so sad about it, and I think about it, but I never had a conversation with him, you know? And so if I want to know who he was, I need to hear.
Know? And, you know, sad about it, you know, here we go again, talking about it a little bit, but, you know, it feels like everyone has someone that they've lost from our class. Everyone's been touched, whether, you know, it's
been a lot of people.
Whether it was Bethany or it was Evan or, you know, you mentioned Keyshawn.
Yeah,
you know?
Keyshawn. That was terrible.
I went to Temple.
So,
you know, I had classes, you know, in that building. It was, and Keyshawn was not someone that like, I had, you know, like I said, I wasn't like a kind person to that group of, especially after Columbine, and I was definitely one to join in on the trench coat mafia badgering. But like you said, that brotherhood, and especially after Ray passed, the way that those type of things, like, wow, another young person, and it's, you know, and it's not things like, oh, they just, you know, they had a bad heart and they had a heart, you know, it's these things that you just, when you're growing up, you never think would ever, you know, someone falling or someone taking their own life, or, you know, those are things that we kind of all have in common a little bit. So all that to say that
we do. The tragedy also, you know, binds us as well.
But all that to say that, you know, as you were saying, like you didn't know a lot about Ray. There's so many people that I didn't know that we've lost, that I only knew about on the surface, that, you know, you or anyone else. I want you guys to feel, you know, feel free to, you know, share those stories or, you know, champion those people or keep those people's memories alive, because I was shocked, you know, when Mike talked about, and I said on the podcast, when Mike started talking about Ray, I had no idea. I didn't know that,
It affected him deeply.
Yeah, that he or that he had that like connection through karate. And I was like sitting there, I was like, wow, what a way to kick off the very first podcast. I had no clue. And so
I guess what I want to say is about Kishan is like I remember going to his funeral, and I remember feeling it was overflow. It was so many people, his family, but also like a ton of people we went to high school with. And I remember thinking, like, if he was looking out at his own funeral, he would never have killed himself, because look how many people love him and care and are here. Like he Rodrigo gave his eulogy. Wow. And was beautiful, but he was crying so hard. And I just thought, like, if he just had an idea of how much he was like loved and people cared about him, maybe he wouldn't have done it. Or maybe he would. I don't know. But I just feel like, yeah, he must have just made like a very short-term decision there. Like, I didn't get the thing that I want. I think it was like an art program or something. But like, I just wish he knew. I think about it all the time, because I've been like, he lived in the neighborhood, right? So like, I go by his house all the time. My parents are there in Bluebell, but I also work in Bluebell, which is a weird thing in my life. I'll tell you about in a sec. But like, I drive by his house every day, and I was in the house when we were younger, and it's such a weird thing to have to. It brings the memory up every time, every day, and I just wish this kid knew. And I of course I like blame myself a little bit, because I'm like, I was one of his friends. Maybe I didn't tell him positive things and say how appreciated he is. I didn't do anything that would have helped the situation. And I think about that a lot.
When I talk to Alea and a few other people, we've touched on this, just the lack of patience and understanding for mental illness and depression and acceptance. I think that's the word. The lack of social acceptance of people go through things, and sometimes people go through things harder than average Joe goes through things, especially for men. Young boys becoming men, internalizing, feeling like you can't be man enough to say, hey, I can't handle this. I need help on a continual basis to get through this. That just wasn't things that you talked about in 2001, 2002, 1999, 1998, that unfortunately, whether just through depression or drugs, affected so much of not just our class, but those right on the top and on the bottom of our classes. That I'm so glad now that you just hear all this acceptance.
If you have a mental issue, definitely you should speak out. And I think people recognize that and understand it. It's just so sad.
It is. This is where I pivot to the happy.
Right.
Who's your favorite teacher?
It's my favorite teacher. I think probably Mrs. McLaughlin. So I had AP American History with her, and she was goofy but enthusiastic, and pushed you, but in a fun way. Like, she wasn't stern or anything. She pushed you, but she really challenged you, but like in like fun, unique ways. And we had to do like she does like a decades project. I think that was really fun. You have to present like all this stuff, so you get to like dress up like you're from the 20s or whatever your thing was, or the 80s and all that. And so she was a cool teacher, definitely. But also, if I'm talking like total Wissahickon time, Mr. Heppy is definitely up there as well. Heppy's a cool dude, and he's like an author now, and he writes books. And he writes like almost like a Lord of the Ring type series. Really? I know. He used to tell us cool stories. I mean, he was in the military, and then he did all the like reenacting and everything. He'd come dressed like a Revolutionary War soldier, Civil War, and all that. And so he's like a cool dude. And cool. Definitely liked Heppy a lot. Wow. Both social studies type teachers. Yes. So that's where my favorite stuff was. But yeah, those were the teachers I really liked.
So Heppy was side by side with Mrs. Chaplin, right? The English teacher that looked like Helen Hunt.
I don't think I knew her.
What? You were probably in AP English.
Yeah, sorry, I was. In AP English. But I had Mrs. Speece, AP English. Okay. So But yeah, Mrs. Peace was great too. Yeah, she picked a good selection of books for us. But yeah, I the social studies teachers, and I've been trying to remember who AP. I know this is gonna sound the most dorky thing I've said even today, but AP Economics was like a great class. It was great, and I'm trying to remember who the teacher was. He was the track coach, and
Wexler.
Wexler.
So I became friends with his son.
Whoa,
who went to North Penn.
But he had like a whole style with like we like didn't have normal class. It wasn't like every other class you have where you come in and like they're gonna instruct you. Like he like just assigned like a reading or a chapter like on Monday, and then you did nothing except on your own. If you want to learn that, you just kind of did it on your own for like through Thursday, and then we would on Fridays take the quiz. So like you'd better have taught yourself and read it, because on Friday you're going to get quizzed on it. And then the rest of class would be an open discussion about the questions on the quiz. And if you wanted to, you could make the argument that like, yeah, the right answer is C, but I think it could be B. And here's why I think it could be B. And if you made like a convincing argument, he'd be like, all right, B and C are correct. You know what I mean? Like
kind of right up your alley too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it worked out. I remember standing in front of the class and being like, I think it could be this. And maybe cool. I was dead wrong, but I would try to be convincing. And so it was a really unique class. And he was good for at least showing me like a different way. And like it was 100% like, if you are motivated enough to read this, then you'll do well on the quiz. And if you're not, well, see ya. But it was AP class too. So yeah.
That seems like a much more college style environment.
It was the first time I ever felt like, like you're on your own. If you're going to learn it, you're going to learn it. If not, then wasting your time. But it was good. That ended up getting me, all this AP stuff got me out of like a lot of college. So, which looking back, I'm like, what dum wants to get out of college early? Like, I really don't understand what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But I ended up doing college in 3 years.
Did you?
Yeah. Because I had enough credits from everything.
Did you know that did you go into Villanova already being law or?
No. So my undergrad was at York College of Pennsylvania.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then I was political science there. And that was right up my alley. And then, and then I went to Nova for law. So, but.
Did you have anything like prior to that you wanted to do like in high school or middle school, just coming up like, this is the, not baseball player, but like, was there like something that
I'm still trying to make the Phillies right now? And
brother, I
might go for a manager right now. Yeah. I have been learning Excel. I think I could do the analytics. It's so funny. 'Cause like, I didn't start figuring out what I wanted to do until after law school. It was so late in the game that I was like, I don't know. What
did you think you were doing when you were at York? What were you, political science, but what did you want to do with that?
See, that's the thing. I didn't know like what I could do with that other than law school. So it wasn't that I was like, I have this dream of being a lawyer. It was, I know I like social studies. I know I like political science. So I'll just do it because I'll get A's and I'll enjoy my time. But then as time went on, it was like, well, I have to get a job after this or do something with this. And it seemed like the only option was law school. So I did that. And then law school, I started learning. So like in law school, you have the class, but when you actually start interning and doing things, that's when you start to learn like, I don't like this or I don't like this area.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be here. And then, so I really feel like it was late in the game before I finally was forced to be like, oh, you'd better start figuring out what you do like, work wise. And I'm, pretty happy where I am now.
Yeah.
But it took a while.
Did you start going did you ever get deep enough into a direction where you thought like, oh, this is what I'm going to do now, even if and then before you zigged out?
Yeah, absolutely. So what happened? That's a good question. Cause what happened was, all my classes, for some reason I thought family law would be like the track to be on. And so they don't have like majors in law school, but you can do like class, like tracks. Right. So you can do like business track or family law track, whatever. So I was doing family law and I did that because family law in a book in stories is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
These terrible stories are actually, when they're just words on a page, no big deal.
Right.
Start doing family law. Start being there with the families that are being torn apart and the people that hate each other.
Parents the kid has to choose who he wants to live with, type of stuff.
Awful stuff.
Oh.
Awful stuff. And really, like, it's more like the parents fighting over like the time and the visitation and things like that, and the bickering and just the endless fights, and people, they're running out of money because it's just such an awful thing. And so it's just a lot of the worst. Just every day you're dealing with the worst days of these people's lives. I mean, I was divorced as well. It was the darkest, worst period of my life. Can you imagine making a living of being in everyone's darkest, worst?
And the longer it goes, you're profiting from it.
Right. And it was making me miserable. So I did 2 years of interning and then 1 year of actually practicing as a family law lawyer. And I hated I liked my boss, but I hated the work. And so then I'd gotten a call from like a headhunter who said, "Do you want to work for Medicare?" And I said, "Nah, like I don't know anything about health law or healthcare or Medicare." So no. And but then I was just so miserable, and I can tell you the exact thing that happened. I was doing a divorce agreement. I was sitting at the computer. I had my client, the husband, right there at the desk next to me. And we had his wife on the phone. And as I'm typing the agreement. I'll type the paragraph, and then she'll be like, "Nah, you know what? I don't agree to that." And I'd delete the paragraph. And then they'd start bickering about whatever. And I try to write the new paragraph, and they're fighting on the phone. And next thing I know, I'm getting drawn in to their bickering. And I'm like, what about this? And I'm getting fired up myself. I'm getting drawn into their couple fight. And I remember in that moment thinking in my head, this is the last thing I do in family law. This is it. I'm quitting after this. And I knew I had, of all things, birthright coming up. I was going to go on birthright.
Wow.
So I had a 2-week vacation coming up to friggin' the other side of the world. So I quit.
Wow.
And then I went on birthright with no other job lined up. But when I came back from birthright, I contacted that same headhunter. I said, "Do you still have an opportunity with Medicare? I don't know anything about it though." And he was like, "Well, they'll train you," which I guess was kind of true. They did. I mean, it's really more experience. The more you work in something, you just learn. But like, yeah. So to answer your question, complete change 180 or whatever in my entire trajectory. Everything, class, internships, work was all family law. And then now I'm in the exact opposite direction with healthcare. And if you'd asked me like, going into political science or whatever, are you going to be like healthcare, auditing and like doing contract stuff for health insurance companies? They're like, what? Why would I ever do that? Who would care about that? Like it sounds like a really boring whatever, but like it ended up in practice being so much better for me and so much happier than being in court with people's worst moments. Stuff you don't.
Wow.
About.
I've heard stuff like that, like with medical, people who think that they want to be surgeons or, and then they go, you know what, that's not for me. I want to be a pediatrician.
Right.
And so
sick kids doesn't sound good either.
But I hadn't really thought about that with law before.
Yeah.
Just the different types of law that could just tear you up.
Yeah.
Other than obviously, defense
criminal,
and criminal and
yeah, my buddy's
Saul type of stuff.
I asked my one friend has defended a lot of murders, and I say, how do you do that, man? And he's like, I don't ask them if they really did it, and I don't want to know, and I have a job, and he does think of it as a job because it is a job. It's a set of steps that you have to complete. That doesn't matter like what the circumstances are. You're like, oh, I have to do X, then I have to do Y, then I have to do Z, and you just go about your day-to-day work.
Right.
But the context, I couldn't get over.
Right.
I'll be having dinner with him. Like, yeah, you did your paperwork, but like, I think that dude killed somebody.
Right. You're helping a bad
He's like, oh yeah, he
person.
definitely killed them. Yeah. He stabbed him right in the back or whatever. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Wow.
He was late to dinner once and we were meeting some friends, and I said, "Oh, yo, what's going on?" And he goes, my client was found guilty of murder. I had to do extra paperwork, and it was like made him late for dinner or whatever, like our reservation, you know. And it was like, that's like real life. That somebody died. But like, you know, for him, it was like, yeah, I had to do extra paperwork and then come to dinner. So yeah, I couldn't do that though. I can't. Just give me numbers, give me Excel. No harm, no foul. Everybody's fine. It's a disagreement between a hospital system and, you know, a major insurance provider. Who cares, right?
Right.
Nobody's getting hurt.
Yes.
So that for me is a better life.
Yeah.
And I'd rather argue over the minutia of policy. That's whatever. Sounds boring, but it really is interesting to me. I feel like a detective. I feel like I get pumped up. Like, I know there's something wrong here.
Yeah.
And I got to snoop around until I see a little piece of evidence here and a little piece of evidence there. And so definitely on the outside, I 100% see how people be like an auditing type role or contracts seem really boring. I get it on the surface. But if you're like snooping and trying to figure out a little clue from this here and this contract here and how it's playing out over here, and then it like you put all the pieces together and you're like, oh my God, I just found like $1 million mistake. Oh my God. And you get pumped up and you're like, look here, and you get, you know, you present it and whatever. And
then you get that million, right?
And then it all comes to me. I tell them, make the check out, Ryan Dunn, Esquire. Well, dude, you know, this job, when I first started working at the current company I'm at, it was like a commission-based role. And now I'm salary, which is fine, but not cool as commission.
What you found or helped.
Yeah. So the money was the money situation was crazy because you would have dry spells of like, I remember that in particular, it was during my divorce, 5 really bad months of like no money coming in and being like, I don't know, I'd taken a loan to pay my alimony that I was paying at the time. And so I had to take a loan out for that. That's how bad the money was for that 5-month stretch. And then, you know, then the money started rolling in, the spigot turned on, and and it was complete reversal. And I'm like, I have more money I know what to do with right now. And so it was like, feast or famine was like, and now it's just salary and I know what I'm going to get every week. But so like literally we would get a cut. Yeah. And then that would get dispersed to all the people. So, and it was a smaller group. It wasn't that many people then. Right. So even if it was like 35 people tops, like it would spread around.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's a nice small.
So there'd be some good days.
Yeah. That is like, I have a real fear of sales. Never, ever wanted to be in any type of commission, sales, and it's all commission based. Yeah. And I don't feel good about like that type of like pressure to like, gotta perform. Like, I feel like it's all over my face of like, I gotta pay rent this month, or you know, I need this sale, or I just you know, I can't handle that type of pressure. So I commend you for being able to, even though you're not doing, even though it's not that way anymore.
But it was that
scenario right there. Like I feel like those 5 months I would fall apart.
Right.
You know,
I was getting worried, and I was saying to my boss, like, well, is something gonna come in, you know, and like. I'm like getting divorced, so like I need all the money I can get in the world. I got to pay every bill. The divorce is the most expensive. That's the other thing, by the way. You know, not to scare you off like marriage and love altogether here, but I'll tell you what, it was. If you're wrong, you're gonna pay for it, brother. You're gonna pay. It was unbelievably expensive. It's not like my ex was initiating anything like she wasn't trying to take my money or anything. It was nothing like that.
The process
it's the natural process that was the expensive thing. It's unbelievable that two people can't just, you know, uncouple and go their way. Like you got to pay people, and it's a long drawn out process. Even two people in our situation who were like, okay, we're going to separate, like even then it took 15 months, I guess. It took forever. And
you know law, so you would know firsthand if there were like corners that you could.
It can be truncated the less you have, the less hooked up you are. So like not having it, can you imagine if we had kids, it would have gone on forever, but we didn't have any kids. So that shortened it, but there was property and just it ended up just being a grinding emotional process. And so, but I will say again, I'm living proof. On the other end of it, of the darkest period of my entire life, I'm gonna leave here. I'm gonna go see my baby. Like it's gonna be awesome, right? So, it's in a very weird way. I'm almost glad it happened because I think she's in a better spot. I think she's happy. She lives in Florida now, so maybe even geographically a better spot. And and I am too. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
it makes me happy to see everyone like happy.
Yeah. This would be a different podcast if this was like 3 or 4 years ago, dude. Like 4 years ago, you'd be like, fuck love. Like, and my money, and like this would be a different podcast for sure. Yeah, dude, it really messes with you. Like I definitely have all these stories that you can laugh at them now, but they're like, being like drinking too much because I'm sad or whatever, and then like doing dumb stuff and like my friends having to like take me out of bars or whatever because you're just going. I don't know what it is about humans, but like you kind of turn to alcohol a little bit and you're like
the body compensates, the mind compensates. I've been there, been there where I just go, God, what's going on with me at the bars or just me with the drinking. It feels like when feels like it's too much, and I've been lucky enough to be able to recognize those situations and just cut them off and just stop for a while and but it is amazing how you allow yourself to fall because you're aware that stuff like that happens, but you don't aware that you're not aware you're doing it at the time and just depressive,
Cody's wife warned me straight up that it was going to happen to me. She told me exactly what was going to happen, and she tried to get me to not have it happen with alcohol and then the depression and all that. And then it just happened anyway.
I can see it.
It just happens anyway.
I can completely. In having depressing stuff and that you're dealing with, and then you're trying to cope, and then I could see like, you know what, one good drink would feel really good tonight,
right?
And then you start feeling good, and you go, no, before I go to bed, let's just finish. Let's have a second one, And then the next day, it's like, that really chilled me out. I'm going to do that again, And then next, this is what you do now, and your tolerance is going up, and you go through these periods where you're just like, what the fuck's happening right now?
What am I doing?
What am I doing? And then you go out somewhere and you're still going. Everyone's like, oh, we're not all doing this?
Yeah.
Okay. That's just me and my indoor behavior.
That's exactly right. The going harder than everyone you're with, realization. That's when you're like, shoot. Like
especially as you get older.
Right.
And people, you're with people that have their, which seems like you are around people that have had their shit together.
Yeah. I'd say so, but maybe not relationship wise, but work wise. Right.
And you start saying like, oh, that's not how everyone else copes, or that's not how everyone else deals with it.
And when your friends look at you and you can see like the embarrassment on their face of how you're acting, that was a tough time. But it just took time to work out of it and get a stable, get everybody, there was a day when I was at work, and again, a lot of negative things come out of addiction, and sometimes legal issues. And so there was a day when I had a call from the police chief of Plymouth Meeting and about an incident, and then that unfortunately my ex was involved in. And then I had a call with I think like a detective, and then I had a call with my ex-father-in-law and like these and then I had a call with her public defender, right? So I had a call with all these people called me like one after the other in an afternoon while I was supposed to be working. And we happened to be we were all leaving the office at 3:00 that day to go to like our company was doing like a charity event at Great American Pub.
Oh, well, Conchi,
Conchi at the upstairs room. And then we were going, they had like Karate Kid studio kids there, like doing their moves or whatever. And then you could like do raffle stuff. And like, it was a whole charity event. Well, I just had those calls, right? And I was like, I need to go to the bar right now. And I immediately started doing shots at this event. It did not turn into a good situation. It's funny now to think about some of the antics, and I'm glad it didn't affect my work or whatever, but like I didn't know, I was so drunk, I didn't know how raffles worked. And after they called the first raffle for one of the many prizes, I ripped up all my tickets and I like threw them on the ground and was like cursing. I was cursing in front of the karate little guys, you know, and people were like, what the hell is going on? But, you know, I needed it. Like I just had some of the worst phone calls of my life. And yeah, we went right over and you put me in a bar and here we go. Yeah. And I had to be carried out of there that night. That was tough. And a funny side story of that is that, so my friends were real good. My coworkers were real good about getting me out of there. But they literally had to carry me out. And a few weeks after that, was out and I saw a guy that I had gone to Sesame Rockwood with at camp. And I was like, oh, Hal, I haven't seen you in years, man. How are you doing? He goes, well, I've seen you. He's like, I saw you getting carried out of here, the bar the other day. And I was like, what? I'm so embarrassed, you know, that's this guy hadn't seen me in forever. And then he sees me. He said I was walking like a marionette, like they were carrying me. And my legs were still going in the air as they're carrying me out of the bar. Wow. And they put me in the backseat of the car like you'd put like a ladder or a TV or something, you know, sideways in the backseat. Right? Get me in there.
Chunk first.
Yep. And put me to bed. So that was tough times, man. Like, and so when I have that context of like that to now, I think about that a lot. I'm very, very grateful all the time. There's nothing going on now that I can't be like, you know, it's too big or it's whatever. It's nothing compared to before. So
what, just because I'm curious, what are your drinking habits like now in like stress or?
Oh, I would say much tamer. And this is kind of ironic for me to say because I came in here, I was like, oh, I'm kind of hungover. But I did have special circumstance of Pat and Rishi being in town. But I would say it's almost, I think it maybe even annoys my wife because how little I drink because we'll have all this beer in the fridge and it won't go down unless we have a party or an event or something. So I've become almost a pure social drinker. Sometimes she'll even be like, you have all this whiskey. Like, don't you want a glass? And I'm like, nah, it's fine. You know? And so definitely it was a circumstantial drinking. It just, that was how I was coping, I guess. But it's fortunately probably for my health that went away.
I was curious because I'm very similar now. You know, I got a fridge full of beer.
Right.
And I've got a bunch of bottles over there that I've bought, and you know, on dates and stuff like that, I drink. I'll drink all night. Friends come over. Sure, I'll drink with you guys. We go out, drink vodka all night long, nonstop. But like Monday through Friday, if I would, you know, when I come back from this party tonight and I get home, 9-10 o'clock or whatever. I'm not going to have another drink. Like I'm right. It's just, I'm the exact same way now. Social, I will go all night long. Right. But if we're chilling, I'm just chilling. And if I'm here, I'm drinking water.
Right. Yeah. I'm a big water guy and that's all I need during the week. Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah. It's become very, circumstantial. Like if I'm in a situation, we like to do like the fire pit. We have fire pit. So
yeah, exactly.
Like to do that. Okay. If it's fire pit time, scotch and a cigar. But any other time, you're like, do you want some scotch or do you want a cigar right now? I'm like, no. It has to be very, circumstantial. So it's funny how that happens. But yeah, that sad circumstance, that was, unfortunately leading to bad outcomes. But I'm glad to be past that part.
Yeah.
It's maybe we don't do enough to like tell kids about like life can be rough and like you might get divorced, like that might happen to you, and it's okay, like keep going, because it definitely sounds like, I think, a failure. That's like how it's perceived. But now that I'm on the other side, I'm like, well, actually, like it led to the greatest thing ever. So it's okay.
It's a great other side,
right?
Someone to come out on the other side and to be in the middle of it, to see it, for it to feel dark, and then you come out where you are now. That's awesome.
Yeah, when I was in it, I wouldn't believe where I am now. I wouldn't have believed that for a second. So it's anyone listening who's going through shit right now, like there will be another side. You will get to the other side of it. What's the quote? This too shall pass. Right? So it will. Time heals all wounds. I'm just gonna throw cliches out of you guys. So yeah, man. So awesome. So what else? So what else is going on?
Did you have like a favorite movie? I was a film student, so film student and a big music fan, and so like music that you're listening to, movies that you were watching in high school. I'm always interested in comparing and contrasting with everyone else.
We were in high school. We really loved, like a couple of my friends. We loved like kind of like Fight Club and American Beauty and some of these like almost like counterculture type
art
movies.
house.
So we loved Fight Club. And we loved American Beauty, and then like like any teenager like loved American Pie. Right? American Pie like blew my freaking mind.
Just a Mira Sorvino thing for you,
right? Well, or Shannon Elizabeth, right? Oh my god. So those are movies I loved. I guess that would have been high school time.
Yeah, American Pie was like 10th grade or something like.
And then Blink-182 came out of that, so I loved Blink-182. I was listening to them a lot. Rodrigo was really into kind of that punk music scene.
Yeah, I remember he used to have like those guys sleeping in his place, like Newfound Glory.
That's right.
Those guys just come and like crash at his house.
He was like friends with like Good Charlotte, and
before they were like on TRL.
He was like, "Yo, let's go see this band. They're playing at Willow Grove Mall."
Yep.
And it was Good Charlotte. And at the time, they played like in like that open courtyard area of like Willow Grove Mall. Like there's like old ladies walking by shopping, and this freaking Good Charlotte with like I don't know, maybe like 25 teenage girls cheering them on. And that was like the first time I saw Good Charlotte. He's like, "Oh, these are my friends." And now they're like, maybe their days
used to, but
passed, but they were big time.
They could sell out a retro 90s cruise tour if they wanted to.
Yeah, right.
Philly was a hotbed for punk music, for punk pop, pop punk, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, we did end up later seeing them at like I think Tower or something like that, and
which just came down.
Right.
They just closed down that Tower.
Yeah, and then Rishi was like so into techno music. All my friends were really into different stuff. So there was definitely some like Nine Inch Nails in there and whatnot, but sorry, this page in the yearbook is blowing me away. I can't stop laughing at it, especially because I hung out with these two last night. But so it's if you're listening, it's page 15 of the senior yearbook, and I'm hugging Ellen in one picture, and then her now husband is in the next picture, Tui, getting his face drawn on with a marker. Like Joe Conlon's in there, and you got Scott Beck, Brian Yoon, Duffner. That's a good crew. Yeah. Margot's in there. Yeah.
Pat Emery. Shout out to Pat Emery.
Oh, shout out to Pat Emery.
I'd like to put you, me, and Pat Emery up there as maybe the best beards of Wissahickon.
He definitely puts me to shame for sure. His beard.
It's a nice beard.
Yeah, I've seen the pictures. Sorry. Pat, you're a wild man out there. I think he's still in Hawaii, right? Yeah.
Boy, I can't wait to get out there and do a podcast.
you need to get out there. Yeah, get in the air and get out there because
I'm very I want to travel for this pod a little bit, and that'll be like a great excuse to go out to Hawaii.
Is this pod can this be like part of like a business or something that you're doing?
It can.
Yeah.
You can. Like I said, I haven't narrowed down, dude. I've just gotten like all the social media stuff, like, like to where, kind of figuring it out.
Are you Joe Rogan, the next Joe Rogan, something like that?
Sure. I would love something like that. That's part of like, people coming here and like having some microphones and, if it was late night, we'd have some beverages and other things like that.
I think it was you and Mike in that one. Somebody was talking about how special it is that we had a class of only about 300 kids, and like North Penn had like 1 million, right? And I dated in college. I dated a girl that went to North Penn, and which was also kind of weird and ironic to go away to college and then just date a girl from North Penn. But when she would describe what high school was like, she would tell me like you only really had your little circle and you didn't know who 900 other kids were.
Right.
You really, it wasn't like us where like, even if I wasn't friends with you, like I knew about you generally, or I kind of had an idea who you were. I definitely could name you and know what you look like and like know who your friends were. And like, that's, I guess, just not possible or just not the way of life at like North Penn, some of these other schools.
Anyone says they went to North Penn, I could throw out a name and they generally don't have a clue because like you said, they know like 8 people.
Yeah, they know their crew, and then That's it. Yeah.
We were also one of the few schools to do a 4-year high school.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's
a lot of the schools do 10th grade, 10 through 12, and we actually went in through 9.
Yeah. I wonder why that is.
I
guess. Yeah.
Have to get an administrator to fill me in on that.
Yeah. Maybe get somebody who's gone on to be a teacher or something. Help you out. Well, dude, I'd say I wish you continued success.
Thanks,
and
brother.
I definitely continued success because it's successful. I think like right off the bat, everybody's talking about it, and
it's crazy.
Yeah, we were talking about it last night, and just
I'll be honest, I really am shocked at like the reaction.
Yeah.
I thought people were gonna like it. I knew there was like a built-in audience.
Right.
I never thought, people would hit me up and like, oh, blank was talking about this, and I'm like, really? Yeah, I never thought that this would be something that I would be at the helm of, to be honest. But
I'm glad you are.
Thanks,
and I
man.
think, is our 20-year anniversary coming up? Or
well, we're 01, so we're 2021
yeah.
should be our our thing.
So what, we're like 18 right now?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
We're close.
Yeah. All right. Well, try to push with Steve DeSantis and Rishi and all them. And like, wasn't Paige one of the? Was that who it was? DeSantis
of class
yeah,
government.
Like our class government. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Steve was definitely the president. I remember that.
Yeah, Steve was the class president.
Yeah.
I mean, I can look it up here real quick. We'll do an edit so that it sounds like I found it right away.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like you just knew it off the top of your head.
Mm-hmm. Wow, these pictures are fuzzy. So
why is the section that's not about us like so well produced? Like there's like Putin's picture in here is like infinitely better than any actual student or teacher.
I mean, look at this picture. This is terrible.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the actual pictures of people are like, why is it all like it's like black and white?
Why didn't they just get like the guy that does the school portraits to take these pictures?
Yeah. Or like, yeah. We had digital cameras by then, I'm pretty sure, right? It was getting there. I remember that there was a digital camera that you could like rent out from like the computer lab or whatever for
probably.
stuff.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Well, whatever. They didn't use them. So
So this just has Paige, Steve DeSantis, and Kyle Speece.
Yeah.
And then Mrs. Speece, Mr. Gallagher, not present, Rishi Patel.
Right. Yeah. I forget what his exact role was, but I remember his speech was like he just copied word for word right out of the Fight Club speech, like a speech from Fight Club, and then that was his speech. And people were like, "Yeah, I'll vote for that. That's fine."
Oh my gosh. You weren't any superlatives, were you? Like most whatever in school or anything like that?
Yeah, but they spelled my name Dave Majumdar under the most intelligent. They spelled Ryan Dunn wrong, but
that is awesome.
Yeah, I didn't make any of the cuts there.
In my head, I feel like I could see in some horribly posed picture, but
like,
I guess not.
Like the shoulder twist.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, right. Yeah, I was lobbying for most athletic, but I guess nobody watched the tennis games. So, yeah. Dude, the tennis matches. Yeah. There was definitely an aspect where it was frustrating with like being on a sport that was not like watched or attended in any way.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that we had senior year, I did a public speaking class.
Yeah, me too.
And Drew Moyer gave a speech, and he was on the baseball team. I think he was a pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
And he talked about how frustrated he was that like they like won the division and nobody like comes to the games. And like I remember our football team won like one game, right, or something, right?
If that money.
Yeah.
And with that $1 million field.
I think they won 4 games in the 4 years we were there.
That sounds high.
Yeah. It was like 1 year was like 0 and 1 year was like 2.
I feel like you're exaggerating.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I thought they were all zeros.
Right. But like I just felt the same way. Like we were like competitive in tennis every year. Yeah. I bet nobody knows that.
They were all like that. Soccer was always winning. The women's soccer, I feel like, won like tournaments, maybe championships, and no one ever. That's what they always say. The football team brings in the money,
right,
for the other team. Basketball had a nice little buzz.
Yeah, there was some good teams there. But yeah, we would win like division. We'd beat like Upper Dublin or whatever, our biggest rival, and then.
I never knew.
Where's my mom? Got to get in my minivan and go home. Like
football games were at night. On Friday nights or whatever. Like I never knew. Like where do I go to? oh, I just walk right outside to these tennis courts.
Yeah,
like
there was
on a Tuesday. Like I didn't know
yeah,
where to do it.
Yeah, that's
it
a good point. Yeah. Right. It's not as organized.
How do I do it
with a set time?
Will there be a large group of people there? Do I just look for all the people, or like, do I go over here on the soccer field? Like, what do I do? You know,
that's a good point. Yeah, and I guess it would have been the same way for many of the other sports. You have multiple games with different locations. You don't always know. I was a hypocrite then, I guess, because I wasn't like going to watch the baseball games either. Right. So, but yeah, somehow you get out to the Friday night game for football to watch them lose, but
because everyone's going to be there,
right? Everyone would be there.
You know,
it's a social event.
I feel like that was probably like a morning announcement thing, right? Tennis match versus Methacton will be at 3:30 or something.
Right. And sometimes the teachers wouldn't even know, and then like I would get pulled out of class, like you missed class. I'm like, well, I was leaving early you have to get on the bus.
I'm in my tennis suit. Like, don't you
like, right. Like I'm on the tennis team. Like I didn't skip class. I had to get on the bus, the travel bus or whatever, you know? And so even the administrators, like, you know, it's an afterthought, but, I don't know. It was good times, man. But that was something that stuck with me that Drew gave that speech. I thought he was right on. It's a shame. If we go back in time, I'd be like more supportive of the other sports. I mean, we had very empty, very unused stands next to the tennis courts. Yeah. We would maybe use them to like watch our own matches, like to critique our, you know, fellow players, but no parents or
no crowds.
Yeah, no crowds.
No.
My mom would park like because the tennis courts were like, kind of in a notch, like in the building. I don't even remember where they were, but like,
on the edge of Dagger Road, right?
Yeah, and then so like there was a parking lot above that, like so it'd be like a retaining wall, and then up here is a parking lot. So my mom would park like up in the top of the retaining wall, like up on that parking lot. So she couldn't even see down. It's like she couldn't even see the matches at all, but she'd just be in her car, right? So like very supportive, but like even the parents are like, right, not they don't need to see those matches. Yeah, whatever. Oh well.
My grandfather used to officiate track meets.
Wow.
And swim meets.
Yeah.
So in high school, I used to go and meet him like at the track field.
We had a good track
over at the middle school for the pool.
Right. Because wasn't Paige like all state or something? And
I think Paige. Yeah. I think Paige was the fastest cross country in the country.
Whoa.
JC Whitaker, I think, won a state record for pole vault.
Wow. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he did pole vault. Yeah.
I remember him at the Penn Relays. Seen him compete at the Penn Relays back in.
Wasn't he also the quarterback of the football team? It was maybe like when we were freshmen. He was.
Yeah. I did Godspell with JC Whitaker, so that's like I look at him as like that's how I see him as like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's probably right. Yeah.
Is there anything that we didn't touch on that you wanted to talk about or hit on or mention or?
No, I think we covered a lot of topics. Yeah. We really covered a lot of ground. You know, I hope that as time goes on, like I keep being in touch with some of these, like that 11 years with like Pat, like that's too long. Like that was too much. And I know we live in different states, but like we can fly and see each other. And like, I hope that people keep kind of breaking down barriers and just like, just be friends. Like at this point, you know, if you think somebody is like, sounds pretty cool guy or pretty, you know, cool person, like just why not be friends with them? Who cares about high school? You know, go reach out. And so I think there's a lot of awesome people that we went to school with, and it's incredible to see their growth and their careers and everything that they're doing. I mean, it's so weird seeing my Facebook newsfeed is like 1 million babies, right? So it's kind of now I'm throwing mine in, right?
Yeah,
so
you're in there now.
I'm in there now. So that's wonderful that, you know, all these people have these lives, and I'm looking forward to hearing more of these. So I think I saw one did you do Jason Herb?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I want to hear that because he was such a funny guy.
He was, yeah.
He used to make me cry, laugh.
Still is.
Yeah, I'm sure. Dude, in 7th grade, he not trying, but he got me kicked out of a class inadvertently because Mrs. Parker's 7th grade English class. When Mrs. Parker was
no tolerance.
No tolerance. And
no.
Yep. And he had me
hated laughter.
Yeah, she did. Well, guess what? I sat next to freaking Jason Herb. So I would get sent to the principal because he would have me cry laughing. Like I'd be crying. And then she'd call me to read something and I couldn't do it. I'd be unable I think like it was like he kept making like Christopher Robin jokes, and we were reading like A Christmas Story or something like that, and like so then like I couldn't finish, I couldn't do it, and then I would get sent to the principal. So I'm looking forward to hearing how he's doing his life, and I can't wait to hear it.
Well, the last thing that I gotta have you do,
got
to sign the yearbook,
of course, absolutely. Now, do I have to sign my own picture?
Yeah, sign right on your picture there.
Sign right here for Billy Bishop. No,
it's on Dave Majumdar's, just all over Dave Majumdar's face, so he can't sign it.
Right. All right.
I hope the pen works.
It's kind of failing me here. Yeah, sorry, it's not happening.
Backup pens,
multicolored comment now.
Mm-hmm.
All right, third pen.
Third one's the charm.
There it is.
Yes. This was such a fun, well-rounded, grown-up adult conversation. I appreciate.
No problem.
I appreciate your tidbits about family and relationships, and those are things I'm going to take to heart and try and lower my angst about making it happen.
I mean, it's pretty awesome. So, like, I don't know. I think I had a whole different set of worries before, and now I realize like all that was like dumb, and like I wasn't listening to people. Like, people were telling me, like, I'd be like, "Oh, dirty diapers, that sounds awful," and people were like, "No, it's a whatever." And then what they would warn me about is the no sleep, and that, right? So like, so I'm here to say like the no sleep is terrible. And the dirty diapers are whatever, right? I mean, occasionally a dirty diaper will blow your mind, but like, it's not really anything because you change them in 2 minutes.
Right.
It's a bad situation for only a very short period of time, and then boom, you're on to the next thing and whatever. But the first 3 months are rough with no sleep.
Yeah,
because you still have to function. Like, you have to go to work, and you're unbelievably tired. I was so apologetic, like in all the meetings I had, like when I first came back, because I was yawning my way. People would be telling me serious stuff, and I'd be like, oh yeah. And like, because no sleep. But and
should get a memo of that.
Right. Yeah. And like, here I have to say, like, whatever complaint I would have, my wife's is like, times 10, right? She's definitely takes the brunt. And I might change 2 diapers in a day. Well, then that means she changed 10, right? So like, the ratio is unbelievable.
Yeah.
But she's a wonderful mom. And but really, even the bad stuff, I guess what I would say about it is like, anything that you right now beforehand would think that sounds awful. Once you're in it, it's not awful. Yeah. It's fine. It really is. And in fact, it's good. Yeah. Like, so I was super nervous, like flying with her, because like we like to go places. Right. And she was fine on the plane. She was good. The only trouble she got in it all on the plane was on the flight out to California. She had just learned to stand up. So of course she wants to stand up, and she's on our lap. So she stands up, and then she wants to pull the hair of the people sitting in front of her. So that was a little bit, and then we'd sit her down, and she'd kind of be like not happy that we sat her down. She just learned how to stand up. That was a little, sorry everyone around us, but they were like, all these random strangers came up to us after the flight, and they said, "She's lovely. You did a great job." Like, just out of the blue, just coming up to tell us how great we did. It was so nice. And so that, if that's the hardest thing, so now I just got to make sure she stays alive and the world doesn't get to her. Dude, I'll tell you, my biggest fear of all time is just the world. Like, holy moly, there's a lot of terrible stuff out there. And right now her world consists of like mom and dad and some toys.
Right. It's so simple right now.
It's so simple right now. Wait till she learns about politics or whatever. Anything. I could have said any word there, and it would have been like, drugs or I don't know, crime syndicates or fractions. My God,
fractions.
Right? She'll go right to the drink, right to the bottle.
It's all over.
Yeah, once she learns fractions. Oh my God. So there's a whole world of shit waiting for her, and I just hope that we're good parents, and that's my fear though. Is like, I hope she can handle it and do and thrive. But it's scary.
Well, I wish you all the luck in the world.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Me too.
We talked a long time.
We did.
That's
good.
I'm really glad. I feel like I got to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, me too.
That's good. All right.
Thanks for all the honesty and openness and sharing.
Yeah, you do a good job.
Thanks, man.
The honesty is compliments. So yeah, who wouldn't want that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you're stuck being a Temple fan, I guess, for the rest of your life. When you're ready to start winning national championships, should we end the interview on like a really terrible note where we get in a fight over?
I got a championship Villanova shirt that I keep in the bottom of my drawer for like, in case I run out of toilet paper or whatever.
Right. Yeah, I thought if you were going to say like if you just wanted to feel like a winner for a little bit. But
No. I wear my Eagles gear for that.
That's see, and that's right back to being friends. I'm pretty sure my Brad Facebook game plan is when he's talking Temple, I'm doing like laugh emojis or whatever, or like just letting it go. And then when it's anything Eagles or whatever, like I'm right back there with you, hearts all over the place. And then but then as soon as Temple's, I'm like, let's just let it slide.
Yeah.
Let's slide on this guy.
Yeah. Less of these from my newsfeed, please.
Yeah, I have so many friends who went to, Tui went to Temple as well for law school, and Jenny McLaughlin also went to law school at Temple. By the way, everyone became a lawyer. I don't know if you know that. Yeah, dude.
I didn't know that.
Nobody's like farmer,
lawyer, doctor.
Right. You only have two choices. Yeah. Well, the Jewish thing, you really only have like three choices. Yeah. Lawyer, doctor, accountant. That's your option.
Yeah, I was going to say financier.
Right. Yeah.
Consigliere.
Yeah, consigliere. Someone to whisper in the ear, the consigliere. Yeah. By the way, Office is my wife and I's favorite show.
Really?
I don't know if you like that as well.
Love The Office.
Yeah, good Office reference right there.
Yeah.
It's our default. It's like, nothing else new. Yeah. It's just what's on in the background. It like kind of Phillies might be in the background, but more often than not, it's
if you want to have a good time.
Right. Yeah. When you're done with that mess and you want to watch something else and you're mad at Kapler for putting in like the wrong picture or whatever, you switch on The Office.
The Office is one of those shows like Seinfeld that any episode, absolutely all in on this one. And I hadn't watched Office in a while. And then one day YouTube recommended to me the Asian Jim prank.
Asian Jim.
And
unbelievable.
God, I just sat there and I went, fuck, this is so good. Yeah. This is so good.
It's one of my favorite bits from the show. Asian
you know Jim. What I think it is about that show? And Seinfeld's very similar. It's a very plausible show.
Yeah.
Anyone could look and go, oh yeah, we could do this in my office. We could do this in my office. My office could be these guys.
I think that all the time. Mm-hmm. I look around my office, I think all the time about that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely aspects. And also because maybe the Pennsylvania thing, they always have like Wegmans products and like local stuff. And like Jim likes the Eagles and Phillies or whatever. Like it was nice to like have characters that you could like, relate to.
Yeah. They had a character named Ryan Howard.
Yeah. I know. And I love that they used it at the end there to be like, I have a meeting with Ryan Howard. She's like, what? No, not that Ryan Howard. Yeah.
Not the one embezzled from the whole company.
Yeah. He's like, eat fresh. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Anyway, bud.
Thanks, man.
I know you got the party to go to, so I'm going to get on out of here.
Thanks for coming, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers.
All right. That was part 2 of my conversation with Ryan Dunn. I just loved all the topics that we hit on. Again, some high notes, some low notes, some good times, some tough times, some real times. And maybe now you guys even appreciate a little bit how pro wrestling works. So thank you to Ryan for, just being here and being so open and honest. Really, I truly enjoyed the conversation about just law. That's something that I don't really know anyone that's a lawyer, so to speak, and to have those conversations kind of in depth about, what the career's like and the process to go through that. It's something that really I've only been able to see from, television distance. And so, I don't know, kind of cool and for me to kind of nerd out and have that conversation a little bit just about, the mindset and to even know that career is not as open and shut of a coast as one might think, as far as, financial and security and things like that. There's a lot that goes into it. And as Ryan, kind of explained, you think you're headed down one path and then you decide that is not the path you want to be on and you change direction. So thank you to Ryan for really just all that conversation that we had and what you said about Kishan and just, again, all the openness that you shared. I appreciate it so much and just what I love this show being about. So in 2 weeks, my guest will be, a little less than 2 weeks, my guest will be Susie Spinelli, aka Susie Mullet, who I think I probably kind of referred to as like in my mind, one of the cooler kids in school. And I know she didn't really see herself that way. And we talk about it a little bit. The stereotype, the gorgeous blonde hair, blue eyes, twin sister, what that all kind of entailed. But I gotta be honest, this interview is like, it's kind of like that thing when someone that you think is really, really cool in your mind, and then you hang out with them and it turns out that they are really, really cool. That's what this interview is. She's just very honest about her life, how she came up, some of her background with her family, and where she's kind of been today. And if I had to restructure instead of the stereotype of how I think I knew Susie 20 years ago, and I had to now think about, okay, how do I think of how Susie's life has been now? And I would say maybe not typical, unorthodox, and definitely unique. And so I look forward to sharing that conversation with you guys in 2 weeks, a little less than 2 weeks, on a Monday morning when we come back. The social media, make sure you guys all check that out. We Weren't Friends in High School on Instagram, WWF in High School on Twitter. And I am at REDSHIRTPLAYA everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. And you can find it on Facebook too if you want it. And of course, subscribe, rate, comment on this podcast, wherever you do the podcast thing. I appreciate that as well. So that is it for me. Everyone go enjoy your holiday, or at least your day off from work. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks, a little less than 2 weeks, with Susie Spinelli, a.k.a. Susie Mullet. Merry Christmas, everybody.